Alright, so this is the first video of the tour we did in Jupiter, Florida at the Miami Marlins Spring Training site with Pat Monteverde. He's playing AAA baseball for the Jacksonville Jumbo Strip and the Miami Marlins organization. He's hoping to play for the Marlins this year. He's one of the best prospects in the organization. Check it out. Well, first off, I appreciate you doing it. It's been a long time. Yeah. This was the original group of people that ever came on when I started, so you were one of the first guys to ever come on. So nice. I always told you I would, I did like a wall of guests if it's ever blew up, so I want to bring that, and I appreciate you always doing that. It's kind of funny because I just started college, and you had just started your pro career. Yeah. It's been a while. Can you kind of take me through?
Yeah, 4 years, almost 4 years, right? It was, I guess it was August. It was either July or August.
It was like, it was your first week.
Yeah. So yeah, it was July.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, lots changed for me and you. I mean, yeah, first 3 full seasons of pro ball kind of changed you more than you'd think going into it. Because you think you know everything coming from a big school and having success in college, and you find out what real baseball looks like, and it's a blessing. I mean, you have to fail upward, especially in pro ball. I think it's why it takes so long for guys in the minor leagues to get to the big leagues. Yeah, man, can't complain. Healthy, got a little banged up here and there, but that's just part of a 152 game season.
Yeah, I guess kind of you start when we did this first time where you were rookie ball, and now you've gone all the way up to triple A. Can you kind of talk about the differences you see from between levels? Because I think people don't really know what that is and what you're kind of working on to get to eventually
to the big leagues. Yeah. Last time I was here was in rookie ball, and when I first saw rookie ball, I was like eyes wide open. I was like, what the heck? What's going on here? Like, there's almost more errors than hits. A lot of walks. There's not too much.
We talked about the language discrepancy too back then.
Yeah, I can speak a little Spanish now, more than I did 4 years ago. So I can hold my own combo. But yeah, rookie ball is just kind of a super raw league, right? Like there's 16, 17, 18-year-old guys throwing mid and upper 90s with 20-inch vert or a crazy curveball or slider. But there's not too much development in it. It's just kind of raw. Yeah. So it's really fine-tuning those, the younger guys. Yeah. And then fast forward, through the off season, first spring training threw really well. Was sent to high A, so I skipped low A.
Yeah. Because you went to, was it Boyd?
Yeah, the Sky Carp. My first impression of high A was it was pretty similar to college at Tech. Yeah. Talent-wise, I mean, the stuff's a little bit better, but guys aren't in the zone as much with their off speed. I mean, they're in the zone, but not as consistently as the upper levels of you see at the big leagues. And then Double A, when I got to Double A at the end of 2022, I'd say that was my first real jump in the game in terms of learning. I remember my pitching coach calling it like big boy ball.
Yeah.
And I was like, we'll see.
Yeah.
And then my first outing, I gave it like 7. And I was like, wow, what's going on? And I made a phone call a couple nights after that first outing, and I was like, hey man, like, what do you got? Do you see anything? Was anything off on my end? And he was like, no, it's really just a pitch sequencing thing, and you're just gonna have to learn to read it throughout the your time in Double A and Triple A before you get to the big league. And then making that adjustment, I was able to really see like not necessarily a black and white difference, but there's a pretty clear discrepancy of where you can throw a guy and where you need to stay away from.
Because you had a lot of success in 2022 with Pensacola.
Yeah. Or I was there for 2 months. 23 was like my big season.
Yeah.
But at the end of 22, I got pretty sharp, and I kind of carried it into 23 with a lot of help from, the pitching coach there at the time, Dave Island. I mean, you don't accidentally win 2 World Series rings and have 2 Cy Youngs under your belt as a pitching coach. I mean, he's probably forgotten more than I know.
Yeah.
So, listening to him and taking anything I could get from him was just a huge plus and a huge help for me. Yeah. And he really did. He got me pretty sharp, pretty quick, and just carrying that into the 2023 season. I came out pretty hot, I'd say.
Was that the year you were in the futures?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first half went really well. A couple good breaks, but I also threw the ball pretty well in the zone with all 4 of my pitches at the time. And then AAA was a bigger jump than I thought it was going to be. That's when you start seeing 1 through 9 is either a prospect that's about to break out to the big leagues or guys with showtime. So facing major league hitters, guys that have been in the big leagues, was a new challenge. And I was only there for 2 weeks in 23, but this past season, I learned a lot. I was in a rehab for 2 weeks, and then I was in Double A for 3 or 4 weeks.
Because you were down here for the first time, right?
I played in Jupiter. Played in Low A for the first time.
Yeah.
But yeah, last year I learned a lot in terms of pitching. Just physically, it just wasn't really my year. There was a new delivery, and it just didn't mesh with how I moved. And you live, you learn. That's all you can do. But yeah, this year coming up, going to Jacksonville, I think I'm ready.
Yeah. Can you kind of talk about it? Because you're a non-roster invite on this. What kind of does that entail? For spring training people, I don't really know. And then, how do you kind of view that opportunity right now?
Well, I'd say to the outside looking in, the general idea of a non-roster invite is you don't have a chance to make the team. You're there because you have the potential to get up there that year. But for me, if I think like that, it just doesn't work. So I was every day I just tried to make the team. And I learned a lot from the new coaching staff, new front office. I mean, there's 75 new coaches and front office members there, and a lot of new players. So there's a lot of learning. It was kind of fun. The clubhouse is good. It's a tight knit clubhouse. It's loose. It's young, very good. There's a lot of fun.
And a good game experience, right? You got some innings and everything.
Yeah, I think it's 3-6 or 5 2/3. This camp in big leagues, but it was good.
Yeah, a lot of people would ask what are your goals? Obviously, the answer is get to the big leagues. But what are the minor goals to get there? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd say because you only, as a pitcher, as a starting pitcher, you probably only have your A stuff. I'd say once a month. And then you have to figure out 3 other starts. And once a month is on a shorter end. Sometimes 1 every 6 weeks. And whenever you have your B or C stuff, you need to figure out a way to get to. You need to find 15 to 18 outs in a game and then hand it off to the bullpen. And managing that for me is a minor goal. Each start, if I don't have my A stuff going out, I just need to, maneuver my way into 15 outs, 18 outs. I mean, sometimes 21 outs, but they're quick. That and then, just being myself out there. Last year, I felt like I was trying to be somebody else. And, that never works in any sport. So just really going out there, being comfortable in my own skin, and, just going out there and laying it on the line.
Yeah, I was rewatching our interview back today, and I asked you about the mental game because, my sport was very one-on-one. And I know baseball is a team sport, but it is you and the batter out there as a pitcher. It's very one-on-one. Yeah. I'm interested to see how, your mental approach now that you face big league players and, guys that are top prospects that, potentially could be in the pros very soon. How does that kind of change in your mental?
It doesn't really change. You can't be a fan of the game while you're playing. So, I didn't pitch against them, or I pitched against them, but not against Soto, Lindor, or anybody. But if I was up there, one, you have to respect what they have, but two, you can't be a fan while you're trying to get them out. So my mentality doesn't change too much. It doesn't shift. And at the end of the day, it's hard. It's really hard to hit a ball. Just got to do what I got to do. And
I always watch the King of Juku, and you watch some of those pitches, and you're people don't realize what it actually looks like.
It's hard.
See,
It's very hard. Actually, I had was getting my haircut this offseason, and the barber next to me was talking to this guy sitting in his chair, and he was like, "Man, I'm telling you, I can hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball." Yeah. And he had no idea that I play. And I'm sitting there. I asked my barber, I said, "Did you just say that?" He said, "Yeah, man, he's been saying it all day." And I just kind of chimed in a little bit, and I was like, "Have you ever played? Like, what's the highest level you played?" He's like, "I've never played." And I was like, "You never played T-ball, and you think you can hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball? Like, come on." Yeah. And he's like, "How hard can it be?" Yeah. Extremely. Yeah. So just knowing how hard it is hitting, I'm just going out there doing my job, throwing strikes, mixing. I have 7 pitches now. Last time we talked, I had 4. Yeah. So, my arsenal is really wide, and just keeping the hitters off balance is going to be. Yeah. It's hard.
I want to talk about like the pitch and stuff, but one thing that's always I've always thought about a lot is when you're like a 2-0 count or you're working your way back in the count. What is kind of the mindset? Because I've talked to a lot of people, and the guys I've done a lot of research just because of the game. The guys that haven't been successful, who have fallen out of pro leagues, they talk about the nerves and stuff of that, and they walk guys and they make a lot of unforced errors. How do you try to eliminate that and get back like in a count?
When it's 2-0 or 3-0, 3-1, something like that, like a hitter's count, that's when I'll start to kind of fall back on my scouting report. Mm-hmm. Okay, what's this kid looking for? Yeah. Where does he like it? And from there, based on the location, you can go off the pitch. Yeah. And honestly, it's whatever feels best that day. Like, what pitch can I throw right here, right now? Throw straight.
Where your confidence is.
Yeah. And like on my A day, I can throw all 7 for strike in any count. And on the B and C days, there's still probably at least 3 pitches that I can throw for strike. Yeah. And then count. Yeah, just doing that.
You'd say it's basically not making. You don't want to make a count like a bigger mistake.
Like knowing if it's 2-0 and I know this guy's gonna try to hit one as far as he could, it almost helps me. Yeah. Like if you're trying to hit this as far as you can, it's give that ball back to my court. That's how I feel about it.
So you had 4 pitches from last talk, but how do you kind of go about learning those pitches, and what is that more of an off-season thing, or is that something you're working through the year and then you go, oh, in the off-season, this is when I'm really going to focus on this so I can implement for the next season? How does that kind of?
I didn't learn them until about 3 weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah, it was my second or third week camp here. I got down here February 1st, and I had my player plan meeting, with the entire pitching department, big league coaches, AAA coach, the pitching director, everybody. And, there's a slideshow. They show you what you got, how it plays, grades and everything. And, they was asking, we'd like to have you throw a sweeper, a 2-seam, and you can separate your gyro from your cutter. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. Like the gyro and cutter is pretty easy. Just getting the nose down with the gyro, nose up is the cutter. And the sinker's still probably the most work in progress pitch right now. And then the sweeper is pretty easy, honestly. They asked me, because I had a slider in 2022, and I think it's 23, first half of 23 maybe. Mm-hmm. And, I got rid of it. They told me it wasn't a great pitch, wouldn't play in the big leagues. And then they were like, well, how'd you throw it? And I showed them my grip, and they just slid the ball down a little bit. And they're just think curveball, and it'll be a sweep. And, sure enough. Yeah. I mean, these guys, the new pitching department, they know what they're talking about. Yeah. Not that the old one didn't, but they're a little bit more, I'd say, hip in terms of the new day and age of baseball pitching and seam shifting and you don't have to manipulate the ball so much with your, arm. It's just letting the grip do the work. Mm-hmm. And it's honestly, it's
keep it simple.
Yeah, I mean, I have really good feel off my fingers. Mm-hmm. That's kind of where I get my cues from, I guess, in a game. I can feel if I miss if I'm getting inside a 4-seam, it's gonna run. It's not gonna stay true. Same thing with the changeup. If I try to pronate too much instead of just letting the grip do the work. And there's ways to do it with every pitch, and they showed me. I said I'll throw it tomorrow in my bullpen, see how it is, and we'll go from there. And it was decent the first bullpen, and these last 3-4 weeks we've been tuning it up.
That's the whole point of the offseason, work on.
Yeah, I mean, spring training is. I mean, it's.
You gotta talk about the schedule of that.
7 weeks. Yeah, it's probably like 7 weeks spring training. Like you have time.
Yeah.
It's like February 1 to the end of March. 6.5 weeks.
Yeah. What's the day in and day like of that?
Like the day-to-day schedule.
Yeah.
So for instance, today I had a bullpen or a pitch design session. I got in there at 9 o'clock, had breakfast, got ready, warmed up, went through my activation, went out through, did my pitch design, came in, lifted, hung out, ate lunch. That was about it. Yeah. Days that you throw in a game, a little bit later. I probably won't lift the day that I pitch just because your body's already beat down. But yeah, the days you pitch, just get into late morning or whatever time the game is, like 3 hours before the game. Eat, hang out, get your mind right.
It's a lot about working, getting your body ready for when the season comes.
Yeah,
not overworking. How do you kind of they do a good job of balancing out where you're not like overworked.
I mean, to this point, I have my routine. Yeah. I know what works and what doesn't work. If I'm going too hard or not going hard enough.
Yeah.
Feel fresh every 5th, 6th day. Mm-hmm. And that being said, you just have to trust your routine. Yeah. I'm pretty routine oriented, but I also you have to listen to your body too. You have to learn to listen to your body. Yeah.
I have 3 or 4, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you're here. So I've gone to a lot of the Marlins games. This is a question I've asked a lot of people with baseball. It's a very popular sport to play, but I feel like the fan engagement has been a little off over there, and that's nothing due to you guys. You're just players that you guys go out and field. But what do you think people could do to? It's such an international game, obviously, and why is it you think it's kind of dwindled in the past? Or
I'd say the last 20 years it's dwindled down, but I think these last 5 it's starting to go up.
I think the players with the shoes and different things in the weeks and trying to get fans more involved.
Yeah.
Something I've noticed that's working, the international games and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, well, you got guys like Shohei, right?
Yeah.
That helps.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like playing Little League. He's third pitching.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
It's insane.
But in terms of the fan interaction of it, the game is so analytical now. I think if the fans were to understand a little bit more what goes behind, I'm just trying to think of a random. Like I just saw this earlier before I came over. Like Ryan Weathers fastball. Yeah. It's like a 130 grade on a pitcher plus scale. So 100 is major league average. 130 is extremely good. Yeah. It's not only 97, 99, but the attributes to it, like the carry, the extension, the release height, all of that plays a huge part. Mm-hmm. And I mean, his stuff is wicked. Yeah. So just knowing that it's not just 98, it's very difficult to hit 98. Yeah.
And it's also conversation when you talk about in the barbershop where a guy thinks it's such a simple.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah. I mean, just I'd say understanding because when I left college and then I got in I'd say the upper levels of the minor leagues is when I started watching baseball differently. And now I used to, watch baseball, but now I feel like I'm watching a whole new game. Yeah. Because the game's going on. Mm-hmm. You're trying to score runs, you're trying to win it runs. Like clean defense, get guys on base, get them over, get them in. But there's also a whole other side of the game that's not on the scoreboard, and it's you got Ellie De La Cruz running like 25 miles an hour.
Crazy.
And he's a switch hitter. He's a shortstop. He's a 6'7".
Nuts.
And
I live in Columbus. I see it all. I go down all the time.
Yeah, it's a freak. I mean, I remember playing him in minor leagues. But, man, there's a lot of really good athletes playing baseball that you don't necessarily get to see their athleticism to the full degree watching it on TV. But I mean, if you understand how hard it is to hit baseball, these guys are turning it around at 120 miles an hour. I mean, that opens my eyes.
And also, there's spurts, obviously, with the World Baseball Classic. You get the countries in. That's you looked at what they did with NHL. It was a huge success.
Yeah, that was
and then you carry that in.
If you want to watch really exciting baseball, watch Winter League.
Yeah.
Like in the
ER. Yeah, it'll show it.
Or Winter Ball.
Yeah.
I mean, it's those guys. The fans don't sit down for 9 innings. You know, they're wearing their hearts on their sleeves. They're playing for their team.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, if there's a situation where the 3-hole guy's up and he's 2 for 2 with 2 homers and the bunt needs to be put down, he's giving you a bunt back.
Yeah.
Like, they're playing the game to win the game. They're not trying to, you know, be flashy about it either. They're just trying to flat out win. Yeah. And it's exciting to see. I mean, I played with Jeffrey Yon for 2 years. I was roommates. But I mean, yeah, if you're not entertained watching that guy, knowing Yon on a personal level, like he's not doing that to be disrespectful at all.
Yeah.
Like that's genuinely how he is. He's excited to play the game, and every time he gets a punch out, he's fired up, and that's just who he is.
Yeah.
And that's how they play. That's how, you know, especially in winter ball, like those guys are. Yeah. I mean, nobody's jumping like them. Yeah. But those guys are celebrating. Yeah. It's exciting. Fun.
So where do you think of all, like, you know, you've been in all the developmental, you know, levels now. Where do you think players' careers kind of end a lot? You think it's rookie ball? Because, like, you know, or where do you think you kind of have to show the level that you could be potentially a big league player?
I'd say double A. Double A for sure. That's when you start seeing guys separate themselves, I'd say. Just the game picks up a little bit faster. Mistakes are hit out of the ballpark a little bit more. Eliminating the mistakes, not missing a mistake either on the offensive side, and just playing good, clean ball. You know, I mean, you can't be, you know, muffing grounders, not hitting the cutoff when you need to save a run. That's when the game really cleans up, and I'd say that's where some guys start to, you know, find themselves.
Yeah, baseball is like very interesting because a guy could have, you know, an all-star year, and then the next year they taper off a lot. Whereas, like, you know, in the NFL, you'll see a guy with 100 receptions, and yes, they don't have as good as the ball, like 70, 60 receptions, whatever. Why do you think baseball is so, like, season to season, and you'll see a lot of guys have very sporadic results, like, you know what I mean, results, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
By that.
Yeah, I'd say as soon as you said that, I was thinking about my 2023 season and my 2024 season. I mean, there's a number of reasons why I could.
Would you agree that's one of any sports? It's like you see this the most.
Yeah, I'd say so, especially on the pitching side.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if you throw a hitter down the middle, they're probably going to hit it out.
Yeah.
I mean, odds are they probably won't, but I mean, some of these guys just don't miss it, and you know they never miss it. Yeah. And if they do miss it, it's a line drive. It's not a homer. It's a line drive at 150. Man, it could be something physical. It could be something mental. It could just be not getting the breaks that you need. I mean, there's a whole bunch that go into it, like why, you know, you have 15 or 20 more earned runs. Yeah. And that could be, you know, a double play that wasn't turned. You know, a walk prior to that. The game's so pitch to pitch. You just need to keep stacking wins with each pitch to pitch. You know, and that could tumble a little bit. For me personally, I'd say at first it was more of a physical thing, like trying this new delivery. Yeah. And, you know, the worst thing that probably could have happened to me was my second start of the year last year with this delivery. I threw 5 no-hit. And I was pretty much guessing. I was just aiming down the middle, which I didn't really do before because I didn't know how to command the ball like I know how to. And I was like, wow, like if I can do this like that, I can be really good once they really figure it out. And then my nerve flared up, and it just hurt throat. And then you know, going to rehab, even though it was only for like a month or 2 weeks or whatever it was, you know, it's draining on you. It's like, well, I'm down here, I'm not healthy, I haven't been throwing well. You know, I need to get my act together. And you know, I just had a conversation with, you know, our pitching coordinator last year and just told him, I was like, hey, I'm going to go back to home delivery. And then last 2 months of the season, I threw the ball really well and had the numbers. You know, strikeout numbers are up, walks are down. Yeah. Velo was back up. Like it was.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like, from, like, obviously just from, like, my perspective, just as, like, a normal person, I always thought, because, like, this sport, it's hard to find best of the best. I feel like, and I always thought like, okay, they go home and it's hard to find a guy to catch with, hard to find the right people, and that's what I always thought like as a pitcher was. It's like the guys just go home, they can't find. It's hard to find guys that can catch your guys' stuff. Even that was always like I thought personally.
Yeah, and especially in Pittsburgh, in the winter time. Yeah. I remember last offseason, the first month I was playing catch with my dad.
Yeah. So it is a true thing. It is hard to find.
Oh yeah, I mean this past offseason, I've had the same pitching coach, and trainer the last 6 years, and my pitching coach is also my agent. He's my agent first, but he's really good on the pitching side. So and they're out of Cleveland, Ohio. So this offseason I just moved out to Cleveland.
Oh.
So I was still close enough to home.
Yeah.
But there's a handful of pro guys in there every day. Yeah. So we can play catch, track me in the face. Hitters if you want to. Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely a commitment. You have to sacrifice some stuff to make sure you're right.
Yeah. Last two questions. So I know you're a big golfer, but what do you kind of do in the free time here?
Golf. Golf. Yeah. I might go today. Honestly. Yeah. We've been going out as much as we can. If our arms are feeling good enough.
Yeah.
We got a big group of guys that in there that like to go golf. So 2 weeks ago, we played Trop National. With some guys. Tough track. Didn't play great.
Yeah.
And then next week I'm playing the Bears Club.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I gotta get my game right for
that. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, we had like a 20-man, like a little Marlins Open kind of, and I go across the street last week.
Yeah. That's where Daniel Berger plays at.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
I saw him when I played there, a year and a half ago, and I saw him after.
Really?
Yeah, that's where he's from.
Wow. Cool. I didn't know. Yeah. Next time I go out there, I'll flip one.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll see him. He was literally like I saw him come out of his house and he's like walk down. Yeah. So, there's a bunch of guys. They all live right down here. They're all.
Yeah, I saw Grant Horman last week.
Yeah.
Just at a restaurant.
Yeah, because he was playing in Creator Classic.
Yeah, he won that, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. He's right down here. It was kind of funny because we've had like 3 people now that have come back on to do like in person. And I asked you, I always finish is when your career's over down the line, how do you want to be remembered? How do you want to be remembered?
Best teammate of all time.
Yeah.
And just an ultra competitor. Because every time I took the ball, the team was confident that I was going to go out there and pull the strike zone and just tackle.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. So it means a lot that you've always supported this and everything. I appreciate it. So wish you best of luck this year, and I'm sure we'll see each other soon.
Yeah.